The Curse of Ravenwood Mansion. The Ravenwood Mansion was known to be cursed. For over a century, it stood on the edge of the forest, isolated from the town. The mansion was once home to the wealthy Ashford family, who mysteriously vanished one stormy night, leaving behind only whispers and unanswered questions. Since then, anyone who dared to enter the mansion never returned, and the place gained a reputation for being haunted by vengeful spirits. In the fall of 1963, a group of 5 college friends decided to investigate the mansion. They were fascinated by the legends and confident that they could uncover the truth behind the curse. Emily, Jack, Sarah, Tom, and Mia were all skeptics, laughing off the ghost stories as mere superstition. On a crisp October evening, they drove out to Ravenwood. The mansion looked more sinister than they had imagined. Its windows were shattered, ivy crawled up its decaying walls, and the roof had partially collapsed. The full moon cast long shadows across the courtyard, and the air was thick with the scent of rot. As they pushed open the rusty iron gates, the wind picked up, carrying with it a faint whisper, "Turn back, or you'll join us." Ignoring the warning, they walked up the crumbling steps and pushed open the heavy wooden doors. The door groaned as it swung open, revealing a grand but ruined interior. Dust hung in the air like a fog, and broken furniture was strewn across the floor. A large, cracked mirror dominated one wall, and in the reflection they could see themselves, but there were also shadowy figures standing behind them. Startled, they turned around, but there was nothing there. Brushing it off as a trick of the light, they ventured deeper into the mansion. They split into 2 groups, planning to explore different parts of the house. Emily and Jack headed upstairs, while the others stayed on the ground floor. As Emily and Jack climbed the creaking staircase, they heard faint footsteps behind them, even though no one else was with them. Every door they passed seemed to rattle as if something was trapped inside, desperate to get out. When they reached the top of the stairs, the temperature suddenly dropped. Their breath misted in front of them as icy cold fingers seemed to brush against their necks. Emily shivered, feeling an overwhelming sense of dread. Meanwhile, downstairs, Sarah, Tom, and Mia wandered through the dark corridors. They found a dusty old journal on a table in what appeared to be the dining room. It was filled with ramblings about dark rituals, spirits bound to the mansion, and a curse that would trap anyone who entered forever. The last page was scribbled in frantic handwriting. "They are coming for me. I hear them. They whisper my name." Suddenly the lights flickered, and the room was plunged into darkness. Panicked, they tried to turn on their flashlights, but the batteries had died. In the pitch-black room, they heard a voice, low and guttural, "You shouldn't have come." A loud crash came from behind them, followed by sinister laughter. Shadows moved unnaturally along the walls, creeping closer. They bolted from the room, desperately trying to find their way back to the entrance. Upstairs, Emily and Jack found a locked door at the end of a hallway. The door seemed to hum with energy, and they could hear faint voices chanting on the other side. Ignoring their instincts to flee, Jack tried to open it. As soon as he touched the doorknob, a jolt of electricity shot through him, and he was thrown back. The chanting grew louder, and the door began to slowly open on its own. Through the crack, they could see a group of ghostly figures standing in a circle, their faces twisted in agony, their eyes hollow and lifeless. The figures turned to face them, and in unison they whispered, "Join us!" Jack and Emily screamed as the figures lunged at them. They ran back down the stairs, their footsteps echoing loudly as they raced through the maze-like corridors. The house seemed to shift around them, doors slamming shut, trapping them in dead ends. They could hear the others calling out, but the voices were distant, distorted, as if coming from another dimension. Downstairs, Sarah, Tom, and Mia found the front door, but no matter how hard they pulled, it wouldn't budge. It felt as though something was holding it shut from the other side. Behind them, the shadows coalesced into a tall, dark figure with glowing red eyes. It slowly advanced, each step causing the floorboards to creak loudly. The figure stretched out a bony hand, reaching for them. Suddenly, Emily and Jack burst into the room, slamming into the door in a desperate attempt to escape. The figure let out a horrible wail that reverberated through the mansion, shaking the very walls. Just as they thought they were done for, the door flew open, and they all tumbled out onto the porch. Without looking back, they sprinted down the path, through the gates, and back to their car. As they drove away, they could see the mansion in the rearview mirror. In the attic window, a pale, ghostly face watched them leave, its eyes burning with hatred. The group vowed never to speak of what happened that night, but the experience haunted them for the rest of their lives. Years later, the mansion still stands, waiting for its next visitors, and the whispers continue. Turn back, or you'll join us. Hope this tale sent shivers down your spine.